We have another Fandom Pulse article, or actually, there were several articles about authors making less than traditional authors making less than minimum wage. Jonathan?
In an industry that's often been glamorized by blockbuster deals and celebrity authors, everyone thinks about Michael Crichton or Stephen King or the big names and stuff like that. New insights are revealing a much harsher financial landscape for most writers. Uh, there's not as many millionaires as the traditional publishers would like you to think. The average novelist, the upfront payments, the advances, are coming in at about $403 for a short story collection to about $100,000 for a multi-book deal, depending on the track record and market expectations. Most deals are in the $5,000 to $25,000 range. That's not great when it takes you multiple years to write the book.
It's often pennies per hour.
Yeah,
Many
if you're
traditionally published authors, when they do the math, find that they're making 50 to 75 cents an hour writing books.
Yeah, you're not living off of $5,000, especially if it took you 6 months to write the book, and then the publisher took 2 years to publish it.
What's interesting is everyone at the publisher is making money. The editors are making money. The publishing staff are making money, and they're all making like minimum wage or more. Many of them are making good salaries. It's only the authors who are making pennies per hour, and it's only because they have such a unique financial relationship with the publishers, because it's actually illegal to pay someone less than minimum wage if they're an employee. And it's really difficult to pay somebody less than minimum wage if they're an independent contractor. But because authors aren't paid salaries, and because they're not even independent contractors, I guess they do get a W or a 1099, so maybe they're independent contractor in that way. But because the nature of the relationship, authors are get the very smallest bite out of the apple. And it's because authors gave up all of their control and all of their margins with this thing called the advance. So because the publishers give the authors money quickly, they're the first to get paid, they're the least to get paid.
Right.
Although what my heart really goes out to all of the authors with small publishing houses, which don't even get the advance. So they get all of the downsides of not making any money because they're with a traditional publishing house, and they're not getting an advance. So they're getting like 2 or 3 cents an hour. like, why are you going with traditional publishing? It's like, it's just a vanity play. It's like, well, I don't want to do it myself. It's like, why not? Do it yourself.
There are so many tools
Take
available right now.
responsibility.
Literally just
100 years
take
ago.
a week, study it out. I mean, Thomas has so many episodes and stuff on how to do this. I learned how to do it. I'm a Marine. We're like professional idiots. No one plays
he
stupid
chews
better
crayons
than us.
and he could figure it out. There's hope for you.
I did. I've published 10 books now, and they're doing fairly all right.
But circling back to what we were talking earlier about decadence, 100 years ago, only 20% of Americans worked for a government or a company that had over 50 employees. Now it's like 90% of Americans work either for a government or for a company that has over 50 employees. We have lost our ability to be self-employed or to work for a small business. And this is bad for us as a people, because the bigger of an organization you're in, the more it crushes your soul. Like you worked for the federal government as what was the impact, Jonathan, on your soul? Was that a soul enriching experience, or did it give you trauma that you're still working through to this very day?
In their words, we didn't issue you a soul. We will not be paying you disability on that.
So there is something to be said about paddling your own canoe and running your own business. And I think it's actually really good for you. It creates a kind of maturity where you're responsible and you can't complain about your boss because you are your boss. And it's not easier. It's just as much work, but it gives you responsibility. And I think taking on responsibility is really good for your character. It's the kind of suffering that builds character, as opposed to just getting walked on and being helpless and powerless. maybe that can build character. But I think the kind of suffering that comes from taking responsibility builds character faster, and it's that character that's going to give you the grit that you need for the hard times to come.
Right. So there's developing, right, where you're like in boot camp and you're getting stronger because they're stripping away what you don't need and they're putting on you what you do need. And then there's oppression, which is you're just being held down, and you can't get stronger because the whole point is to keep you from getting stronger. It's where they take away the straw you use to make your bricks.
Justin said he has a good, sorry, are you done with your thought?
Sure.
Justin said he had a good experience working with Bain. Yeah, but Bain has fewer than 50 employees, right? So there's difference. It's different when you're in a small organization. You know the names of everybody on your team. So it's not like we all have to be autonomous, atomized individuals. That's not what I'm advocating for. What I'm advocating for is responsibility. And paddling your own canoe is a really good way to do it. It's not the only way to do it. Indy says, I quit. So don't just quit your day job, right?
Yes.
It takes time to build up to the new thing. But there's a lot of money that can be made in this industry. Indie authors are making money. You can also make money selling services to fellow authors. We have a job board at authormedia.social. And if you go to conferences like the Novel Marketing Conference, which you can learn more about at novelmarketingconference.com, there's many opportunities to connect with authors, either to hire you if you're looking for work, or to hire if you're looking for experts to surround yourself with, so you don't have to do everything yourself. So,
but also keep in mind that, and I'm just going to provide a counterpoint here, Thomas. Like, I don't write for money, right? And so I don't think most authors do. I think maybe there's a dream of
that's why
that,
they
but
get
it's
taken
more like
advantage of financially.
Right, exactly. And I'm okay with that. Authors need to understand metadata. They need to understand numbers. They need to understand business. And so that's so they don't get taken advantage of. But the whole reason we get started is just so we can tell stories. We're storytellers, and people can read the stories and enjoy them. Okay, my novels typically have pretty strong points I'm trying to make. And so I want people to think about those points and be challenged by them, and hopefully make a beneficial change in their life after that. The money lets me keep doing it. And so it doesn't become as much of a pursuit. I know there are people out there who are trying to pursue writing as a money-making business, and you have miscalculated.
It's very much like the lottery. There's no middle class. There's winners and there's losers. And there are people who are making tons of money. And Larry Correia bought himself his own mountain so he can shoot guns and no one can bother him. And so you're either making,
and yet he goes on Twitter where they still bother him. What was it? He got arrested by the Massachusetts Copyright Office. What, yesterday?
he didn't really get arrested. But
I know that.
He really enjoys picking fights with these X accounts with 100 followers.
Bought my mountain so no one would bother me. Goes on X.
He could be that meme, It's a Simple Life, but he chooses to go on X and pick fights with people. There's not a lot of a middle class, particularly in traditional publishing. There's more of a middle class in indie publishing, particularly with authors who've learned how to write quickly and who've learned how to find an audience, where they just keep writing books for the same group of people. Maybe they only have 1,000 fans or 10,000 fans, but they're giving those fans a book every 3 months or 4 months, and that's enough to pay the bills. But it's not like being a plumber. Right, the typical trash collector in New York City makes more money than almost all but like 20 of the authors in New York City. And the median trash collector makes like 10 times more money than the median author. So the median author in the UK is making about $7,000 a year, and the median garbage collector in New York City is making. Actually did the research on this. I want to say probably $70,000 or $80,000.
Yeah.
And so
what you do is you be a garbage guy and dictate your novels whilst you are garbaging.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. I really did look this up, what a garbage collector makes, so I could put some numbers to it, because it's easy to forget just how much money people make if they have a low status job. So this final thing as we're talking, because we're just about out of time, but as we're talking about decadence, a lot of people are writing. They tell themselves because they're wanting to change the world, but really they're seeking status. Yeah. They want people to respect them. They want esteem and admiration. And they don't realize that they're bankrupting themselves. So if you have the money to do it, right? If you're idle rich, writing is a wonderful activity to keep your mind active. And we have a lot of idle rich that are retired, right? So what our ancestors would have called idle rich, we now call retired. And people are like, I just want to write. I don't need money. I get checks from the government and checks for my pension. And I have a lot of money stored, and my house has appreciated 1 million times since I bought it for $5,000 in the 1960s. And so there's that kind of writer, and they're very much not financially and motivated, which is very different from the kind of younger, hungrier writer. And sometimes by taking the low status path, you actually make more money. You know, the people in the orchestra pit make more money than the singers on stage, right? Because they get less status, and they make up for the status with being able to pay the bills.